that time of year again. Black Friday sales have hit the eShop, and there are so many fantastic games on sale. Now, today's video, I'm going to focus mostly on eShop sales, and that's because a lot of indie games are only available on the eShop. But just know places like Amazon and local game stores often try and match the eShop. So for some of the bigger games, if you'd rather have them physical, go out and look there and see if the deal's just as good. This video is also going to cover a wide range of prices. We've got games ranging from £35 for the big AAA titles all the way down to less than £1. So hopefully this means you can find at least one Black Friday sale game to pick up. I also want to mention that in addition to all of these game offers, there's also a ton of Nintendo Switch console offers too. And just a warning, this is going to be an incredibly long video. I have so many games to share. Some of them are my favorite games on the Switch, and some of them I've never mentioned, but are absolutely incredible games that you should definitely check out. So get cozy, buckle up, have a warm drink, and let's get into it. First up is Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is 15% off. All three of the Founders Packs are all reduced by 15%, so this means the base pack is now £22. Just a reminder, this game will be going free to play sometime in 2023, and the game is currently still in early access. But considering we're likely only a couple of weeks away from the next update, it might not be a bad time to buy the game now. Also, right now, if you consider all of the base content and all the updates we're getting, there's actually quite a lot of content to get on with. And although it's not fully confirmed, seeing as we had Halloween items just a couple of weeks ago, it won't be too long before we get some Christmas ones. For me, Disney Dreamlight Valley has been the perfect blend of keeping you busy, but in a casual way. It's one of those games where you can do everything whilst chilling and watching Netflix, which is honestly one of my favorite ways to game in the evenings. You can do fetch quests, farming, decorating, or just wander around and speak to the amazing Disney villagers. This game has found its way into becoming a part of my daily routine, and it's just one of my go-tos on days where you feel like you need to take your mind off of the world and truly just relax. And whilst I think this 15% off is a good price and I didn't expect it to be on sale, it wouldn't be fair for me not to mention that there are rather a lot of bugs still in this game, and people are still reporting frequent crashes. As I said before, that's because it's in early access, but if you've had your eye on this game for a while, now might be a good chance to buy it. Next is Bargain of the Day, and that's Dragon Quest Builders 2. It's currently 50% off at $24.99. This was my Black Friday purchase. I have been eyeing up this game for so long, and at 50% off, I was like, screw it, I'm doing it. This is a kind of spin on the Minecraft formula, and it fits right at home on the Nintendo Switch. And yes, you can farm, therefore it is legally cozy. Some people have built the most incredible builds. So if you're wondering if you can decorate and build in this game, the answer is yes. Most definitely yes. The thing I like so much about this game is that it's Minecraft, but as an RPG. There's an actual story that goes alongside the game that kind of acts as a tutorial, but you don't really feel like it's a tutorial though. It's well fleshed out. My main issue about Minecraft was it just abandoned you in the middle of nowhere and said survive and have fun. Whereas this game just takes your hand and leads you through all the scary stuff. In Dragon Quest Builders 2, the story sees you try and escape from the people who've outlawed building across the land. So it's up to you to escape and encourage the people of the world to start building again. Throughout the story, you'll even have puzzles to solve, and you'll meet NPCs who will then ask to move to your base. I think the base building is probably the game's biggest strength. Whenever you go off and do the story on different islands, you always bring everything you got back to your base where you can build and improve it further. I even think there's a little town which everyone runs around as well, which I adore. And if you need a bit more direction, not only is there the story, but there's also plenty of side quests to do across the land. I absolutely adore this, as sometimes in sandbox games, when they tell you you can do whatever you want, I just feel lost. But I just love the way the game looks in general, and I think it's a great spin on the classic Minecraft formula, and gives you a little bit of direction for those of you who maybe play Minecraft and think, I have no idea what I'm doing. Next is a game I somehow have never touched on this channel, and that's Strange Horticulture, that's 33% off at £8.70. This is a mystical puzzle game centered around collecting and cataloging powerful plants. I thought it was about time I covered this, as so many of you in the comment sections have talked positively about this game. You play as a horticulturalist and an owner of a small plant store called Strange Horticulture. And you're basically a plant detective. You spend your days identifying plants and piecing together the mysteries of this town. This is definitely one of those games that is cozy, but also is slightly creepy and unsettling, but also I love it. Visitors to your shop will come looking for a plant, and it's up to you to identify that plant using your trusty encyclopedia. To give variety to this game, the description of the plant often differs. They can do anything from showing you a leaf shape, naming the plant, or just describing what ailments the plant needs to cure. This ensures the gameplay always remains fresh. But that's not all you can do. It's also up to you to use the clues given to you to collect new plants to go study and give to customers. These clues can either come from characters or by strange cards you get given at the end of each day. This is really where the puzzle solving aspect comes into play, as the clues they give you vary so much and really get you feeling like a detective. Throughout the game, there's also choices that you have to make that lead you to one of the 8 different endings. 4 good, 4 bad. So there's definitely a ton of replay value, and for this price, can't really beat it. Next is a game that's literally on sale just for today, and that's Golf Story. It's currently 55% off at £5.99. And this is perfect timing, as its sequel literally comes out next month. Now, don't judge this by its graphics, okay? And also, don't expect this game to be simply about golf, because it's honestly closer to being an RPG than it is a golfing game. The story sees you return to the sport of golfing after 20 years, leaving your life behind to try and win the championship. Only for some reason, nearly everyone around you seems to hate you, and also frequently tells you how much you suck at golf. When you do actually play golf though, it's all down to time button presses to try and get the perfect shot. And weirdly enough, when you help out people around the town, it almost always has golf-like solutions to their problems. The writing alone makes this game worth the price, as it's guaranteed to make you chuckle at least once or twice. Next is a game all about fruit and vegetables, and that's Garden Story. It's currently 40% off at £10.79. And this is probably one of the cutest action-adventure games ever, where you play as a grape and traverse the world inhabited by quirky fruit and veg. Garden Story sees you appointed as the town's guardian, set to protect the fragmented town from something known as the Rot. This game may be a little bit more combat heavy compared to other games on this list, with big boss battles to encounter at the end of each part. But seeing as you're a grape, that probably evens up the cozy score. Each in-game day gives you new requests from the townspeople, and will see you needing to not only defend the town, build it back up, but also go out and forage. And later on in the game, you even get the chance to start up your own farm. If you don't mind a little bit of combat, it's a great game and a great price. Next, we have a cozy game staple on the Nintendo Switch and very high up on my must-buy list. It's Cozy Grove at 40% off for £6.59. This is #1 on my list of games to recommend if you used to love Animal Crossing and are looking for something to fill the void now that game has no more updates. In Cozy Grove, you are a spirit scout sent to bring life back to the island, and as a result, take the colorless landscape and transform it into a colorful home. You do this by tending to the island's inhabitants, who often have quests for you. Sometimes it's just a simple fetch quest, and sometimes it's a task that takes days to complete. But the dialogue between you and the characters is one of the game's strengths. For these characters are bears that are ghosts, and through your help, they come to remember their life and what they left behind. Each time you help a villager, they give you something that helps you progress. This is often either items to help you progress, or these things called spirit logs, where if you collect enough of them, you can bring new ghost villagers to your island. The reason why this game filled my Animal Crossing void was that it runs on a real-world clock, and much like Animal Crossing, has a whole host of island chores you need to do every single day. The developers actively designed this game to only be played 1 to 2 hours per day, but these daily tasks are what make you excited to log back into the game every day. And although every villager only has 1 quest per day, you fall in love with them fast. You can also decorate, fish, catch bugs, and just run around the absolutely stunning hand-drawn landscapes. As I said, top of my list of games to recommend, one of my favorite cozy games, definitely worth checking out. Next is a slightly less cozy game, but also one of my favorites, and I love it so much. This is Ori Will of the Wisps at 66% off at £8.49. This is an incredible price, and I cannot recommend this enough. The Ori franchise is literally one of only 2 platformers that I have fallen in love with. And that's because not only is the story incredible and literally makes me sob every single time I play it, but it's also an absolute delight to control. And even through all the tricky parts, I knew the only fault was my own. I love the fact it's a kind of open world platformer type game though. You can go wherever you want on the map, but certain areas can only be reached once you've unlocked new skills from other areas of the map. And when it's time to move on to another area of the map, you have to face a boss-like level, which by far is one of the most stressful parts of the game, as it often involves being pushed for time trying to escape the area as the water rises. But there's literally no better feeling than finishing one of those levels. The music, graphics, and story made me instantly fall in love with this game. And whilst it's probably one of the hardest games on the list, Ori is just so cute and I cannot resist recommending this game. The next game is the complete opposite to this and is one of the chillest games on the list, and this is Slime Rancher. It's currently 40% off at £11.69. And if you're looking for a very different take on a farming sim, then this game has you covered. This farming sim has a larger focus on livestock, and your livestock are slimes. But the slimes are cute, okay? You can catch them, you can breed them, and you need to feed them, or they get grumpy and literally try and make a run for it. When slimes eat food, they poop out these things called plorts, which are what makes you money in this game. You sell them on the kind of equivalent of a stock market, where the price per plort changes daily. You can also kind of crossbreed slimes. You do this by making a slime eat a plort from another slime, and it becomes a big slime that's a mix of the two. Some of the slimes are picky eaters, so this can be particularly useful to deal with that. But be warned, if a giant slime then eats a third plort from a different species, it will mutate into this. And this eats everything in its path, including you. So slime safety is a must. The more slimes you have, the more money you make, allowing you to purchase more equipment and explore harder to reach areas of the map. And the further you explore, the rarer slimes you find, which have more valuable plorts. Although you can technically get hurt in this game, it's definitely beginner friendly, and it is one of my favorite games. Also, I really hope Slime Rancher 2 comes to the Nintendo Switch sometime soon. I played that, it's a big improvement from the first Slime Rancher, and I cannot wait for it to have a home on the Switch. I can't remember if we've ever spoken about this, but next on my list is The Last Campfire. This is 80% off at £2.69, and I didn't even realize, but this game was apparently made by the makers of No Man's Sky. This is a story-focused puzzle adventure game that tells the story of a lost ember, trying to find their way back out. Throughout the journey, you'll come across these things called the Forlorn. These are embers who have lost their hope. By completing a puzzle and hearing their anxieties, you literally bring their hope back to them. The puzzles in this game feel kind of similar to OG Zelda dungeons in the best possible way. And to proceed through the game, you need to find and help all the forlorns in the area. As you progress through the game, you unlock items which will help you complete the puzzles, giving the puzzles a great range and variety. The game is narrated and voice acted, making the game feel like a full experience along with the beautiful music. It's also a combat-free and quick-time event-free game, meaning that you can take both the gameplay and puzzles at your own pace. I feel like it's a great game for the price. Next is another game under £3, and this is Pikuniku at 75% off. This is a great game with a fantastic sense of humor. At the beginning, you meet the main villain, Mr. Sunshine, who claims to be taking the world's junk and turning it into money. But it turns out he's more about self-gain than he is helping the world, as you find that he's stealing resources. You play as Piku and travel the land to try and stop this evil mastermind. But in order to get around, you need to befriend the people of the land. And this is where the game really comes into its own, as the writing is just chaotic and is so good. And when you combine the dialogue with the way Pico moves and jumps around, this game is chaos in the best possible way. Not only do you need to explore the land, but the game also sees you completing quests for those around you. And overall, it's a fun little game with a great discount. I'm not sure the next game fully counts as cozy, but Breath of the Wild is definitely cozy, and this relates to Breath of the Wild 2. This is Skyward Sword for 33% off at £33.29. I've added this to the list as if you're someone looking to play Breath of the Wild 2, this game is an absolute must. Just from the trailers alone, we already know that Tears of Kingdoms Past shares so many elements of Skyward Sword. And I think it's no coincidence that this was the remake they went for between the two Breath of the Wild games. Although this isn't the first Zelda game ever made, this is the first game of the canon timeline. And through beautiful cutscenes, it shows how all the other games came to be. And look, I may have hundreds of hours of watch time on the Zelda timeline, but it was this game that really made things make sense. Also, there was this weird will they won't they energy between Zelda and Link in this that I absolutely lived for. In Skyward Sword, you journey between the endless sky and the mythical surface below in search of Zelda, all whilst a wicked plan to resurrect ancient evil forces is underway. Although this is a port, the great addition they added was the fact that you don't have to use motion controls. So if your partner gets sick of you slashing the air in bed, you can actually use the alternative controls. I'm a pretty big fan of this gameplay. It's kind of fun to play old school Zelda dungeons again after playing so much Breath of the Wild. And I love the kind of different aesthetic style they went for in this game. And whilst I'm kind of iffy about recommending ported games at full price, a third off is a much better price range. Next, we have a slightly different type of cozy game, and this is Hidden in Time for £3.49, and it is 50% off. This is basically a game of hide and seek to the max, with objects scattered throughout the history of the world. You'll be given cryptic hints and set out to discover all the secrets in each of the hand-drawn levels. And only once you've found enough of them can you move on to the next level. In addition, you can also create your own levels and play levels made by others. So even when you've finished each of the 4 ages in the game, there's still plenty to do. Now it's time for some rapid fire games. All of these games I've covered in my top games in 2022 list, so I won't spend too long in them, but they need to be mentioned as they are incredible. The first one is No Man's Sky, that's 20% off and is $31.99. And although I started playing it a month or 2 ago, it is one of my favorite games ever. And with the right settings, it can definitely be cozy. You explore space, you find new plants and new animals, and you even build a base and farm. It's also hands down one of the best ports on the Nintendo Switch, and is really putting the graphics of the new Pokemon to shame. Then we have Octopath Traveler, that is currently 50% off at $24.99. I think this is one of the prettiest games on the Switch and is a completely different take on a turn-based battle system. I love everything about this game, the music, the artwork, the characters, and I really struggled to put this game down before I completed it. And then for 33% off, we have Fire Emblem Three Houses. As I said before, this is probably one of the best games on the Switch and one of the best stories that is completely voice acted with cutscenes you can buy. I know a lot of people said they were a bit worried about the combat, but to me, it wasn't too hard to get to grips with, and it has a great tutorial to go with it. This game, in my opinion, is more than worth its money. And that is my cozy game roundup. Let me know in the comments down below if you've picked any of these up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!